All right, well, welcome back to the mill. Way nicer day today than yesterday. It's about 35 degrees, but it's not super windy. Yesterday it was blowing 40 sustained, 33 to 34 degrees. It was freezing cold out. I didn't mill anything. Unfortunately, I did hear from the customer this morning, but she wasn't really rushing me. She was just saying she didn't want to make sure that if I was delivering today, then she was going to be there. But I'm not delivering today because I only have 45 pieces cut forward. I need 180. So I'm going to try to spend this afternoon milling out the rest of the 1x6s, or at least a big portion of the 1x6s. And then it's supposed to rain all weekend. And I'll have to get back at it probably on Monday to finish it up. What we have going on is, you can see I've got her 45 1x6s by 8 right there. I've got a decent sized log on the mill. This log is 22 inches on the smallest diameter on the small end. It's about 26 on this end. The 22 inches cants out at about 15.5 inches square, which kind of sucks. To be honest with you, that's kind of a shitty dimension. You know, it'd be nice if I could get to 18, then you can have 3 6-inch cants. But this one, we're going to have to shave off the side, try to get it into a 12. Split the 12 in half, flip it on its side, mill out what we have in there for 6s. We're going to get a bunch of them out of this. There's no doubt about it. I still am going to try to only take off as much as I have to so that I don't waste any boards. So what we're really looking for is when, I'll explain it over here. Hi, Danny. When we mill off a side, on the small end, I'm looking for, I can take 1-inch boards off. Well, you know, first a slab cut, and then really 1-inch boards off until I get to about a 15-inch flat. When I get to a 15-inch flat, I can't really go any further. I could, but you're milling into the cant at that point. So then when you flip it over, same thing. You take off your slab cut, and then you can take 1-inch boards until you get about a 15-inch flat, and then you can flip it on, 90 degrees and then 180 degrees, and you should end up with about that 15-inch cant. Now this one should cant out over 15 inches, and I should get a bunch of material above the 15 and below the 15. You could, in theory, if you could drop down far enough, and in our case we can't, because we can only go down 9 inches before the mill hits. But if you could go down far enough, you could go down to the pith on that side, or the center of the log, or sometimes the pith's off center, but you could go down the center of the log and then come up a 1/2 inch and then go up in 1-inch increments to show you where you should take your top cut. In this case, we really can't do that. I could measure out, I could make lines. We don't really have to. We're going to have a lot of extra material here. This is going to yield a lot of 1x6s. Worst case scenario, a log this big, trying to mill 1x6s out of it. So best case scenario for not having to worry about if we can get them. Worst case scenario for how many cuts it's going to be, because it's going to be a shit pile. So what we're going to do is we are going to mill the top off this thing. It's pretty flat, kind of through here, and then there's a big bump up. So I think what I'll end up doing, I'm still running the resharp from the other day, and I did bring a box of bands out with me. I think I'm going to try to come over to here and take this piece off first. Which doesn't really do me any good. I think I could probably come down and try to take a minimal cut here. Hopefully there's not a lot of gritty dirt in the bark, which is, the log's pretty clean. I debarked it. That's still some of the bark's flaking off here. But what's going to be a band killer is entering the log where there was sap on the log and the sapwood, and that got dirty. That's just like encrusted, diamond, like a diamond plate. So I kind of want to come down to just below the top right here, skim this, chuck this off. We'll kind of measure it out. And as soon as I have at least a 6-inch flat, then we can start dropping down in 1-inch increments until we get 15 across. So at least that's my thought. Some more experienced sawmill guys might do it different. They might not care. They might just mill away. But I'm kind of trying to think my way through this because I want to maximize, because I don't want to be cutting on this friggin' order forever. So we're going to fire it up. Come down, hopefully maybe an inch from the top here. Hopefully that yields me at least a 6-inch wide flat spot. From here to here, I'm not worried about down there because that'll be thick. But if I can get a 6-inch wide flat spot, then I can mill a 1-inch board off. Those can be edged off later for 1x6s. So we're going to go ahead and take top off it. I will probably, I'm going to adjust your view. Let's take you over the other side. You'll kind of be able to see speed of cut, even though this is not a new band. This band cut all this the other day. But this is kind of a better view because you can see the sawdust spewing out and everything else. Can't see Danny because he's on the other side, but Danny's hanging out with me today. And let's get to milling like a villain. This log is, let me see if it's stable, because it's pretty stable. It's not even over against the stop right here, but it's so big. I think we'll be okay. Damn it. It's not a good idea. Just not a good idea. Because if it, I can't even move it. It's not going to move for these couple of cuts. So we'll go ahead and take top off it, and we'll take it from there. I did edge out all my stuff that was sitting around the other day, and I cut a whole shit pile of stickers when I edged out, which is always a good idea. As you're edging out, instead of just going down to your dimension, I come down in 1-inch increments and cut 1-inch stickers. So I've got a shit pile of those. I already put a bunch over there. Show you, just get these out of my way. For those of you who want to just see milling and learn along with me, I feel for you. I really do. I feel for you. But, we're here to learn together. So this whole pile of stickers right here, I took out of edgings when I edged the other day. And they're all, a lot of them are 8 feet long. But that's, a whole pile of stickers right there, just all out of edging smart, rather than just ripping through it. I see a lot of guys just rip through it. They drop them on. Doesn't look like there's any rhyme or reason to, how they cut them or anything. I'm trying to get some sort of usable material out of them, if I can. I got pretty cleaned up over here. So we'll go at it. That thing, I wonder how many miles that thing blew around yesterday. Hi, Danny. So we'll get her fired up. I know it's full of gas. It's full of blade lube and blade coolant. There's Pine Sol, Dawn dish soap. It's not warm enough yet. And if Kelly from Norwood watches this, I'm just going to tell you now. I have sold a couple of mills for you guys, which is good. You just sold one to Tommy Steele up the street from me. He hired me to come over and help him with his mill. He had bought some cheap junk mill out of Connecticut, and it just was a piece of junk. He ended up bringing it back, hopefully getting his money back, and he just bought an HD38 from Norwood. It's supposed to be here this week, and he's building a sawmill shed for it. He's only you know, a couple of miles down the street from me. So I am selling mills for you guys, and a couple other people have told me on some of my reviews that I bought a Norwood because of your review. I'm going to tell you guys now, I'm getting sick of adjusting these guides. I've done everything. I spent hours on it the other day, centering and tightening and getting everything. The ceramics aren't what's moving. What's moving are the blocks, and I can't get them tight enough to not move. So, and even cutting pine and cutting flat and what I'm getting good cuts, as soon as I go to throw another band on and I feel I don't have any play and I loosen the screw on the ceramic and it jumps up 1/8 of an inch, you know, they're way out. And I'm seeing no, even with that being way out, if I didn't check it, I wouldn't know there was a problem with it. So I'm getting sick of adjusting these guides. I'm really thinking about trying roller guides. I really don't know what else to do. I mean, I keep them, I set them now every single time with paper. You know, in the beginning, I just used to eyeball them and it seemed to work fine. Now I'm setting them with paper. Every single time I got to put a band on the thing. I gotta adjust them again. So I don't know what the answer is. I could take a good look at them and maybe come up with an answer. But those blocks that are on that carriage bolt, and you tighten the carriage bolt up from here and they slide on the carriage bolt, there needs to be a way to lock them in place so they can't move up and down, because it's not my ceramics that are moving, it's my guides. The block is moving. So we'll take it from here, and because what I see is I see that the block ends up moving down a lot of times. The block will get pulled down so that the top ceramic is hitting and the bottom ceramic has a big gap. If the bottom ceramic moved so that, let's say the blade dove and pushed the bottom ceramic down, there'd be a big gap there, but it still wouldn't be hitting against the top. The top is hitting to where when I loosen it, the top will jump up. And I messed with my tracking, and I'm actually tracking my bands back a little further than I ever was now, to try to get the band more level, because I thought that maybe the band was pulling, even though I'm getting good cuts. So I don't know, but I'm getting sick of it. I'm just telling you that now. So if you hear me bad mouthing it, you know, I've done my part. So I know that I got to come up to about, I think the top of the log's about 22, so be somewhere around 21. Probably going to need my adjustable guide pretty much all the way out. See, it's not a bad spot to start. I got more than a 6-inch flat. You get some water flowing here. Make sure I got water going to the band. All right, I got water flowing to the band. I'll go ahead and make a cut. I can tell you now, this band still feels like it's cutting awesome. It's pretty sharp. I've got a plenty big enough flat spot to take that 1-inch off it. A little more play in my guides here. Did sound like I was getting some deflection in the band. Let me just check the cut. There's no waves in it. The cut really flat. Get my tape measure on my hip here. see how close we're getting to a 15. All right, so I'm past 15 here, but down here I'm only at 10, so I'm gonna take another inch off it, save me from having edge out later. I started at 21. Just make sure that's where I was. Yeah, I was at 21, so we'll go to 19 and 7/8, take another slab off it. This is pretty much max cut for this roll on the far end, so I'm just going to kind of take it slow, not stress the band out. If I try to go too fast in this cut, it definitely be stressing the band out. Let me see if I have my 15 now down here. I have 14. I might be able to take, you know what, I'll just take one more off it. I was at 14 and 7/8 there, high. I'm gonna come down to 13 and 3/4. I'm gonna take one more slab off it. No, I was at 21. I was at 19 and 7/8, 18 and 3/4. Looks right. Just make a mark. It's a little fat. I'm just going to double check. Yeah, that's pretty much dead 1 inch. All right, I'm just going to take that off too. It's going to get me past, just past my 15 wide. I could go faster than this. I can feel that I'm starting to get a little bit of feedback on pushing the band, but I actually have to kind of push it a little bit here. So this band's starting to feel some wear. I have 2 1-inch cuts, so 1, 2, 3 rotations all the way down. We'll get these 2 slabs off. These are going to need to be edged later. I'm going to get like 1 1x6 out of this one. I should get 2 1x6s out of the other one. Check and see how flat we're cutting. It's beautiful wood, it's nice, got some blue stain in it. Let me make sure that I'm not getting out of frame on you. There's Danny, look at him. He's such a pretty dog. This will probably end up being a couple of parts, just to let you know, because sometimes it, you know, sometimes it goes like really fast at some point. This, oh, get one, I get a little wave right here, get a little wave right here. So I'm starting now to feel some waves in the wood. And that's just starting. I cut 45 1x6s. So in the 45 times 4 is 160 on 40 and 20. It's 180 board feet over there. And I'm just starting to, well, I don't feel as much underneath it. This cut came out pretty flat. Yeah, you can feel it with your hand, believe me. Just doing this, you don't need to put a level up there. You can feel it. This is remarkably flat. There's one There's one little hump right here, just a teeny one too. Couple of Chatham. I'll show you this wood before I turn this. And I'll probably put you guys on pause while I turn it. Try and save some camera time. I'll show you guys the cuts. Just pulled the leg out of my tripod. This thing sucks. Okay. So I'll get my hand in here for scale. You can see how smooth it is. You can't even see band marks on it right here. There's a little bit of chatter right here. See a little chatter there. I can see a little chatter, just a teeny little bit right here. There's some right there. You can see a little bit of chatter there. This band, this is the one that I reprofiled from, it ended up at 0 and reprofiled it back over to 7. Got a new rock. Reprofiled the new rock. This band is still cutting great. Approximately, what did I say? 40 times 4 is 160, and 20 is 180. So approximately 200 board feet in, it's still cutting pretty flat and really smooth. So what I'm going to do is, just in case I struggle with it so you don't have to watch, I'm going to roll this log. I'm going to pause you guys, roll this log, and when I come back, we'll go to work on the other side. All right, so we're back. I got the log turned. I did turn it by hand. I've got about, I couldn't get the dog in on this one. These, so just so you know, these, on a log this big, these are pushed over like 3.5 inches so I can clear the angle on the saw head cover so I can get maximum depth on my cuts. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to have these on a big log all the way over if you don't clear on the other side. And you can only cut down a little bit and you got to whittle away at it. But in this case, this is like just small enough so it's not a big deal. Also, one thing on these big logs, if you could, instead of rolling them 180, if you can roll them 90, that does make them smaller, quicker in 2 dimensions. The problem is that when you do that, you really can't square up this side. You can get it up against your stops and hope it's square, but on a big log, it's really a pain in the ass to try to, you know. Hi. Good, how are you? Hold on one sec, I'll be right there. Be right back. God, it can be so frustrating sometimes. I'll move you over here. No, I'll let you watch from here. It's this lady. She's a young lady, owns the service station in my neighborhood. She's been coming, taking firewood all winter from my campwood bin out front. So my campwood bin, the way I do it is, it's pretty simple. I'm just trying to get rid of slab wood. And I started it out in the summertime, just $10 an arm load. So, you know, you can load one up for 10 bucks. Cheaper than they're selling the stupid little bundles around here. Then I started putting hardwood in it because in the wintertime, I didn't expect anybody in the winter. Now, all of a sudden in the wintertime, they're buying out my campwood bin. So I put hardwood in there. White oak and scarlet oak and red oak. So she just came, she wanted bigger wood. So she's heading over to my wood pile, which is gone. And she was going to she wanted to grab some bigger wood. So I went out, I split a load this morning, put it out front, brought most of it in the house. And there's still some on the front lawn. It's all red oak and white oak. And there were some bigger chunks in there because it's bone-ass dry. So I grabbed her an armload of that. And then I told her she was taking all softwood out of the campwood bin. I said, take some of the hardwood. So I just watched her take 7 armloads of wood, and she left $40. And you know what? I don't even, it pisses me off so much. You know, if somebody's around here and they need wood and they just want to stay warm, I don't even care. They can come take it. My neighbors, I've told them, just come take it. But it just pisses me off when somebody that's loaded in a Cadillac SUV, you know, that she could have taken, you know, left 100 and just taken 10 armloads. Instead, she took like 3 extra armloads and got a load of my wood that was going in the house and left $40. It's unbelievable. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I have a sawmill out here. So I don't have to deal with people like that out in the field building anymore. So anyway, I'm going to come down. I'm 18.5 high to the top right here. And come down, take the top off this side. I am beautiful, just 18.5 high on this side too. We'll probably take our first cut. This first cut's going to be, no matter where I go, it's going to be wide enough for a board. So we'll try to take it. I don't know. I don't want to know that I want to do it at 18. Yeah, I might. I might try it at 18. It's just too bad because then I get 3 6-inch cants out of it, but it's just not going to work out to be wide enough. So I'm going to try it at 18. We'll see what it looks like. And we still wouldn't be able to get 3 6-inch cants, but if her boards ended up being a 1/16 less, which is what it would work out to make 3 6-inch cants, they'd never notice for fence boards. So let's fire up and we'll get at it again. I come down to 18. I would need, in theory, 18.25 to take 3 6-inch cants. Oh, that's 19. I was going to say I'm missing. So let's see how much flat I get there. Doesn't look bad. Does not look bad. Let's take it off right there. Good water. Yep. Skip out right there, right? So it doesn't look like I measure my narrow spot here. Yeah, I still get one 1x6 out of this. It's got to be edge perfect, but I can get one. So I'll come down an inch. I'm at 18 exactly, so come down to 17 7/8. I'm sorry, 16 7/8. I heard myself misspeak in the last video. 16 7/8. Inch and an eighth drop for the curve. Now, at least their campwood paid for lunch today. So now we got a nice wide spot. Now the battle right now would be, typically I'd be trying to set my width. But I can't really set my width this way because I could, in theory, there's a possibility I can get 18 this way. This dimension was a little wider. So it's 26 here, and I think it's 23 down here. Yeah, it's 23. So this dimension's a little wider. I could get possibly my 18-inch cant this way and flip it and saw it 3 6-inch wide blocks out of it. So I don't want to screw myself, but what I want is I want to end up on a dimension that I can saw out. So if I end up with 6-inch, 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 I want a block that I can saw out on scale. I don't even think it really matters at this point. So 15 would be 14/8. So that's, right now, if I leave it where it is, I could get 14 boards times 3, 30, 42 boards, as much as I have here, out of this one log. If I can get 3 6-inch cants out of it. But that's the 6-inch cants are only going to work if I'm 18 on the flat. So I got to come down more, and I'm not going to get that many boards. I'll get some out of these, but I want to come down until I'm, in theory, 18 flat on both sides. So I'm going to take another inch off it, and then I want to check my bottom, see where I am there, because I don't want to screw myself. I'm only 16 on the bottom, so I really want to come down until I'm 16 on both sides. And I'm wide down here. I got 20 and a half. So I really only want to come down until I'm 16 on both sides. Yeah, I'm 16 and a quarter on the bottom. I'm 13 and a half right now. I'm going to come down 1 more inch. We'll see where we are. So I'm balancing out the flats so I can get max cant out of it. So where am I? I was at, I think I was at, so it's 16 and 3/4 or 17. I think it was 16 and 3/4. Nope, that's not it. 16 7/8. Yeah, 16 and 7/8. So I want to come down to 15 and 3/4. Take another inch off. Just check my flat spot. I think I'm going to be pretty close now. Yeah, so I'm the same flat on the top and on the bottom under this. So I'll shut it off. I'll flip it on its side. We'll get this board off. I'll probably pause you guys while I flip it on the side. And then our goal right now, our goal is to get an 18-inch dimension in this dimension that I can block into 3 6s, and then mill through them the other way. And then I could take all my edge out all my slab wood here, or all my flitch cuts here, and we'll end up with a shit pile of wood. So let me come over. I'm going to pause you guys. We'll get this thing stood up, and I might have to level the end. I'll bring you back after I get it all set. Okay, we get her up on her side and square and dog down. There's Danny laying in the dirt. We take the top off it, and our goal right now is to try to get this kind of flat while leaving 18 inches here. So I kind of want to take it down to about right here so I can get 3 cants out of it. I'll measure the other side. We'll make some marks. I did have to turn that with the machine. I could lift it up and get the log dog assist in it, but then getting the last piece of it, it was just too much for me. So what we're looking for is somewhere around here. And let's just say teeny little bit of wane like that, like right there. So I want to come down. I know you guys can't see this, but I'm just get marks for my reference to about these marks. And then let's see how much I got there. So I do have enough probably to take off. I'll come up and make a mark here and then come up an inch and make a mark to see where I can take my top off. So I'll get a 1-inch board out of that before I get to my 18-inch mark. And then we can flip it over. We'll measure up 18. We'll make marks. We'll do the same thing. We really need 18 3/8. So if we can cheat a teeny bit, we can. But if we have to split it down to where they're 6 and, you know, 5 and 15/16 or something to make up for the 2 kerf cuts, it's not going to make a difference. So we're going to come up. I'll make a mark. I'll go up an inch. I'll make a mark. That's where I'm going to take the top off. Then I'll come down an inch, take a slab cut off. Take a flitch cut off that I can edge off later. And then so I'm going to come there, up an inch, slab cut, down an inch, and then down an inch. I think it's going to be 2 cuts. Going on here. See where that is. It's too tight. Come out a little bit. Alright, so I want to come up, see where my marks are. So I kind of want to be like, let's just cheat up just a hair, like right there. And then that's just less than 23 3/4, so I want, 21 3/4, so I want just less than 20 5/8. Oh, no, going up. So just less than 21 3/4. I want just less than 22 7, just more than 22 7/8. Should be like right there. And then I should be able to go up 1 more inch to 23 7/8, almost 24. So let's see what 24 looks like. Let's see, this is going to, in theory, this is going to be the thinnest spot. So I do have a 6 there. Make sure I get my inches. Yep. Okay, so that's good. So I'll take the top off right here, then drop down an inch, then flip it over. So that's 24. And it's running perfectly true because it just came right back up on the log. There's no waves in it at all. So I want to come down to 22 and 7/8 should be the next cut. Kinda. Yep, goes right in the slot. That's 22 and 7/8. Next cut's going to be like just short of 21 and 3/4. So right there somewhere, this should go right in that slot. Yep, goes right in the slot. 1, 2, 3 should be clear. Clear. Down. Shut off. And that should give us 2 more. This is going to be a 1x6. That one is going to be 2, I think, 1x6s. I gotta get my drink somewhere or I'm not gonna knock it over here. So how wide is this? Hopefully this is enough for 2. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is 15 here. The narrow spot is, yeah, there's gonna be 2 1x6s in this one. And now we're kind of set up to do a triple cant here. And that triple cant is going to yield. So that's going to be this way. So it's going to yield 14 boards. I think 14. So 14 is 13/8 is 15 and 5/8. Yeah, it works out just about perfect. So it's going to be 13, 13, and 13. That's 39. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and whatever I get for flitch cuts out of there, I'm going to get 50 out of this one log. So that's why I'm taking the time to do this, guys. That is why I am taking the time to do this. So our goal right now is to flip this thing over. My log dog is just up here. I gotta knock this log dog out of the cant. We're gonna flip it over and we want to get ourselves to 18 1/4 this way. Then we can flip all 3 of them on the side. I mean, the whole thing, we can just cut down and divide it into 6 and 6. So once we get to 18 1/4, we can drop down 6 and drop, and then come 6 inches off the deck and have 3 6-inch blocks, flip them on the side and just mill them out at 1 inch a piece. So that's the way it should work. And we get 50 out of this log, which I kind of wish I'd done that earlier. This thing's going to run into log dogs for sure. Hopefully it doesn't. If it does run into my log dogs, I'm going to end up needing to turn this thing with the machine because it's going to stick in them. Let's see if I can get it moving here. Just needed to roll off those freaking stops. Okay, now we can go all the way up with it. We're gonna have to, hopefully the log dog assist helps. I haven't found much use for it other than a third hand. What I use it for is when I'm lifting, if I can't go any further, I just stuff it in and then I can start over again. Nice. That was some humping there. So like I said, we're going to make a mark. My stops are nowhere near where I am, which is good. I just got to get this one over a little bit. Okay. So, like I said, what the goal is right now is to make a mark at 18 1/4, up an inch until I see where to take the top off. Take it off, come down to 18 1/4, make a cut, drop down 6 to 12 1/8, make a cut, drop down 6 to 6 inches exactly off the deck, make a cut. I'll have 3 6-inch cants at that point, flip them on their side, throw it on 1-inch scale, mill them off. This is maximizing a log. So we're going to come down to 18 1/4, and the quarter is two kerf cuts. That's why I'm saying 18 1/4. All right, so I'm going to make a mark there. It looks like I might be able to get one. No, I'm going to get none. I'm going to get none. This might not work because I got a low spot right here. Ha! I think I took one too many 1 inches off of there. If I had stopped one more, I would have had a little bit of wane on one side, but I would have been able to do this. Let's see where it ends up. Well, let's see what the height looks like here. It's 16 with wane. It's 18. It's not too bad. Fuck. And I can trim some of that off. The other side looks maybe like it's a little higher. Let's just take it off here first, and I could, worst case scenario, I can drop down to 18. That's good. So the only good thing about that cut is there were no 1x6s in that. Man, this is close too. So I could drop down to 18 and then try to split the difference on my 6s. Damn it. So if I do that, I'm going to kind of a bunch of this wane out, and I'm only going to get wane when I come down 6. I'm going to get wane in a couple of boards here and a couple of boards here. So that's not too bad. I think I'm going to come to 18, and then I'm just going to drop on 6s, which means each one will be a 16th less than 6 inches thick. Like I said, they're only fence boards, so it shouldn't matter. This will get rid of a little bit of that wane. That didn't get rid of enough wane to make a difference, I'll tell you that. This thing is still cut perfectly flat, nice and smooth. Shit. It's another good. This one I'll end up, it's only going to affect a couple of boards and a board on this side. Damn it. I'm going to pause you guys for 1 second. I'm going to see if I can think my way through this better. Let me pause you guys 1 sec. So what I decided is that I've only got, it's that 1-inch board. I took off the other side. Would have been way better if I didn't. But what it's going to do is I'm only going to have a few questionable boards here if I just cut 6, 6, and 6. I'm at 18 1/4 down there. What am I showing here? Pretty much 18, so I think I'm going to drop down on 6s. I'll make a mark at, I can't go deep enough to do 2. What's 18 minus 6 is 12. I can't go 12 deep. So I'm going to drop down 6 inches on this one. Cut it off. And I'm going to have to take this off the mill. So I'll put it over there. Then I'll go down 6 inches. Cut that into 2 cants. Flip them on this side. Put the other one back on the mill. Cut the whole thing out. And I'm going to have a couple boards that are going to have some wane on them. This top board right here is going to get rid of most of it. No, it's going to be the other way. Yeah, the top board is going to get rid of most of it, and the bottom board is going to get rid of most of it. This 14 1x6 is going this way, so I'm still going to get like 12 real good ones. The other way, trying to cut this part of the cant out, I lose a lot more than that because I don't have the width to do 3 across. And in some of these narrow spots, I'm only 10, so you only get 1x6 out of this top one anyway if you go down 1 inch. So that's wasting a bunch of them. So it's better off the way I got it, 6, 6, and 6, and we'll go from there. So 18 down to 12, we just leave it a hair high. We're going to leave it a hair above 12. And then we'll drop the 6 on the next one, and we're basically splitting the difference. Just see where that cut is, just for my own sanity. So it's just less than 6 inches. It's like a shade less. It's less than a 16th. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Clear. Get this cube off the deck. See if I'm man enough to do it. That's why I left the forks up over here. I had a feeling I'd be doing this. Hopefully, I'm coming over to the camera. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Didn't think of that. Yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing. See if I'm man enough to do this side. It's my exercise for the month. Just move it over just a little bit so it's not in my way. Still cut really flat. There's one teeny little dip right here. Cutting wicked flat, nice and smooth. So I should be able to go down to 6 inches off the deck and take this one off. I'll just double check the mark. And we'll see where that cuts in, and we'll see what we look like. It's 6 inches up, and pretty much, like I said before, it's just a whisker below 6. So I split the difference good. I'm going to cut this off, flip it on its side. I'll mill these two out into 1-bys, and then mill this one off separate so we're not making full width cuts. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just gonna take a look. I should have looked, guys, when I was over there. I just want to see where you're at. So maybe I will just can't see the time because there's some sort of incoming call. 59 minutes. Okay, I'm going to pause you guys while I flip it on its side. All right, so I was considering going right to a part 2, but we're at an hour right now, so we can mill this out. It's, I don't know, 13 cuts. I'm going to mill it down like 9 cuts, then take the boards off and then mill it the rest of the way out. So let's get to getting them on 1-inch scale. You see how that works out. I'm going to do a skim cut. It's going to be on the top because there's a little bit of wane on that board. So I think I'm somewhere around 14 and something here. So I'm going to go up to my scale mark. You know what? Here, no, I'm not going to show you right now. That's still low. I'm going to go up to the next 1-inch scale mark. And that's right there. It's going to take a skim cut. So I can either take the skim cut off the top or the skim cut off the bottom. You can't do the skim cut on the bottom. It has to be off the top. Let's take it off the top. And that's 15 and 5/8. The only reason I say that is I just want to know how much I got to drop each time. I want to see if I can get my adjustable foot guide in one more click. I'll give it another click too. Maybe even, yeah, it's pretty close. Maybe one more. That's as far as it'll go. I'm still clear, that looks good. So take it down past the 15 and go to the next 1-inch. That's 14.5. And it's rubbing right there, so I can take that one click. So that's a 14.5. 1, 2, drop down to the 1-inch one, just less than 14.5. 14.5. This one should be 13 3/8. Yep. One, 2, 3, and go down to the one just below 13 3/8, which should be 12 1/4. Which I'm using my 1-inch scale on my magnetic scale, so it tells me right there. It is 12 1/4. So 3 boards there, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming down to 11 and 8. And I have a color-coded scale, so it's just where it's going to fall. Yep, 11 and 8. 4 boards there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming down to 10 inches exactly. And right there. Still looks like I got clearance for a few more boards. Five boards up there. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Coming down to 8 7/8. Right there. Still looks like I have room for maybe one more. If I can get one more, I can cut the rest of it on the next one. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Those 8 7/8, 7 3/4. There. Hopefully I'm clear here. If I am, I'm gold. Tight, but I'm clear. Two, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take these boards off. Wow, these are gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I like the ones with the blue stain in them. When I flip them off the side here, I'm just kind of like letting them fall and drop some of the sawdust off. Just see if they're straight. Yeah, they're nice and straight. I'll fix the stack later. Beautiful. Perfect. Nice straight grain in them. And get that over a little bit. So what I will do is I will mill the balance of this cant off, probably off camera. That one's got a little dinky bit of wind shake in it. That's why I'm going to have to give her some extra ones. I love how when white pine has red color in it. Perfect. Beautiful. Quarter sawn straight grain. Well, these are riffs on. Nice straight grain. This one's got a little bit of wind shake in it too. See, that's just going to be, that's why she's going to have to get some extras. Hopefully the last log I cut, I will make sure that I scale it out a little big. Yeah, this whole side, that whole cant has a little bit of wind shake in that one board. That could really screw 5 or 6 boards right there. I'll show you what I mean. The ones coming out of the middle cant are beautiful. They're just absolutely gorgeous straight grain. This one's still got a little bit of wind shake in it. Rather than having you guys watch me mow through the rest of those, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna leave the mill running. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you look at the nice straight grain in these, on this side there's some wind shake in the end of the board right here, and that's not it. It's got a little bit of wind shake right here too. A little bit of wind shake right here too. A little bit of wind shake right here too on that one cant. Those could split all the way down. That could be a problem. That could cost me a bunch of boards. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to kill this video. Appreciate the watch, and I'm going to do a part 2. When part 2 comes up, there's probably going to be a whole other log up here. I think I'm going to mill off that cant. And we'll see. We'll see how time goes. Maybe I'll edge these first. I'm not sure yet. But that wind shake's going to be a problem. Because if all those boards split, she's going to be pissed. She's got no room to cut them off. This is only... oh, she does have room. But the wind shake's right here. She doesn't have room to cut that off. Hopefully they don't split all the way out the end, and hopefully that gets better as I go down. Because these are 9 foot, but this is past the 1 foot mark. So we're gonna have to see. You know, I mean, they're rough sawn, but see, hopefully they don't crack out the end, and she can square up this end and leave that in, cut off the other end. She doesn't want to cut it right here because they're just fence boards, though. I mean, it is what it is. So we'll see. If she ends up not, you know, hating a few of them, I'll cut some more for her. I'm gonna have to give her at least 5 boards, you know, minimum. Whatever the amount of stacks is I have to stack this load out, I'll give her that many more boards. So if it's 6 is 30 inches, 7 is 42, 8 is 48, will go on my fork. So it's probably going to be, if you look here, it's probably going to be an 8 stacks wide, the whole delivery. And if I do 8 stacks wide, I'll give her 8 extra boards, so they can weed through it. I don't know, maybe she'll end up with an off dimension on her fence. So I'm going to kill it, and this part Solutions out. There'll be a part 2. Peace.